Jesus' first miracle, the wine miracle in Cana. 4 forbidden questions, 4 divine answers. Please follow as we expose the questions and unveil the answers. Why Cana? Why begin anything there? Not in Jerusalem, not in the temple, not in Rome, but in a small, dusty village whose name barely survived the centuries. If the Son of God was launching his mission, why start here, with no fame, no power, and no stage? What if Cana wasn't random? What if it was chosen because of a forbidden secret nobody talks about? Cana of Galilee, a quiet village northeast of Nazareth. No royal palaces, no synagogues of renown. Yet here, heaven whispered its first word through Jesus. He had nothing to prove, nothing at stake. And still, he turned water into wine. Why? Because Cana was the symbol of the ordinary, a place with no reason for glory except divine choice. The miracle began where faith was weakest, among those who least expected it. God often hides greatness in obscurity. The first miracle wasn't about power. It was about presence. For centuries, wine has meant celebration, joy, and sometimes sin. But the Son of God chose wine, not water, not oil, as his first miracle. Why? Was it indulgence or a divine metaphor for something far deeper? In Jewish culture, wine was more than drink. It was covenant. The rabbis said, "Without wine, there is no joy." To provide wine at a wedding was to provide honor itself. But Jesus didn't create just enough. He created abundance. 120 gallons of the best. This wasn't excess. It was prophecy. He was declaring that the old purification waters were ending, and a new joy, a new covenant had begun. To turn water, the symbol of ritual, into wine, the symbol of relationship, was to turn religion into communion. But one question remains. Why was his mother the first to notice? And why did she seem to know what he could do before he even acted? Why his mother? The woman who knew the hour. She wasn't the bride. She wasn't the host. Yet when the wine ran out, Mary intervened. Why her? And how did she know what her son could do? Mary's words, "They have no wine," sound simple, but beneath them lies the weight of prophetic insight. She wasn't merely reporting a shortage. She was declaring a spiritual truth. The old has run dry. From Bethlehem's cradle to Cana's wedding, she had carried the secret of his mission. When Jesus replied, "My hour has not yet come," she did not withdraw. She turned to the servants and said, "Do whatever he tells you." It was the language of faith that activates miracles. Mary's concern wasn't social, it was spiritual. The mother of his humanity became the midwife of his ministry. But then comes the most debated question of all. Was Jesus the bridegroom? For centuries, whispers have echoed. Was Jesus the bridegroom at Cana? Was this his wedding? The text never says he wasn't, but it also never says he was. So what's the truth? The Gospel of John calls him a guest, not a groom. The master of the feast praises the bridegroom, but never names him because the real bridegroom wasn't mortal. This wasn't his wedding. It was his revelation. The wine, the joy, the union, all shadows of the covenant he came to seal. Later, John the Baptist would say, "He who has the bride is the bridegroom." Jesus was not marrying one woman. He was calling all humanity to himself. To call him the bridegroom of Cana misses the greater mystery. He is the bridegroom of heaven, and Cana was the rehearsal dinner of eternity.
Cana was never about wine alone. It was about joy where shame should have been, faith where logic failed, and glory revealed in the ordinary. The first miracle wasn't random. It was a coded message. The best is yet to come.
If this story made you see the familiar in a new light, like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Real African History, for more stories like this. Because history isn't hiding, it's waiting to be rediscovered. Thanks for watching, and remain blessed.